Alright, so in this video we are going to learn the fundamentals of JavaScript which you need to know before you start writing your code. So let's start. We're going to first start with how we can write JavaScript variables, how we can define variables in JavaScript. Let me show you. If we can define variables like this, like x equal to 10. But before we start declaring variables, we first have to know what is a variable. In computer language, programming language, variables can store data for a temporary period. Like a box, it can store anything you can organize inside your box to put, like you can put clothes, you can put any of your tools inside a box. That box is a variable and you can put anything inside that box. So let's have a look at how we can define the variables inside a JavaScript. Let's say let x is equal to, or we can use var, which is old now. Let's use let x is equal to 10, and if you print the value of x, let me show you. As you can see, as you can see here, it's it consoles it logs 10 because the value of x is 10. If we want to add more variables, we can do like this, y equal to 10, or we can just straight away use comma and y is equal to 10, so we don't have to use another let. And if we press, we log y, oh sorry, let me change the value. Voila, there we go. It's 20. So so there are actually two ways we can store variables, by using either by using constant or by using let. There are differences because, of course, there are differences. So let me talk about the first thing, that is constant. Constant can store values like 10 if you cannot change it later. Like if you want to change the value of x to 20, you cannot change it. It will show an error. Let me show you. Console.x, because it's info one. Let me show you. There we go. Assignment to a constant variable. Because it's constant, we cannot assign another variable. We cannot change the value of that variables later on the code, our code. So if we use let here instead of constant, we can change value because it was 10 before, then we change it to 20. If we log the value, it says 20. It means the value has been changed during the execution of the variable x. Now let's see what are the data types in JavaScript. There are actually 8 types of data types in JavaScript. Let me show you. Let x is equal to 10. This is the number data type, or you can say integer number. Let name is equal to then. This is the string data type. Okay, let's is cool is equal to true. It's called Boolean data type. You can say true or false or yes or no, like that. And let's say let n is equal to null. It's null. It's called null data type. Let ud is equal to undefined. It's undefined data type. And there are more like functions. X is, if we can like this. Let x is equal to function like this. This is a function data type. And there are one more which is objects, there are one more which are objects. We can like this. We will talk about objects later in this video, so stick to the video. And there is a new integration inside JavaScript, which is symbol, which we are not going to learn because it's not very much popular, you can say. Alright, next up is that the JavaScript is dynamic language, which means you can change the data type of one variable into another data type like this. Let's say if we define x is equal to 10, and if we can add x is equal to x plus 100. Now if we log the type, you can use type of statement to display the data type of variable like this. If we type of x, let's say if it's a string, because we add the integer and the string, so it changes from bottom to top because integer at the bottom, or you can say top to bottom, any whatever. So the string has more value than integer, so it changes from integer to string rather than changing from string to integer. And let's say that's it for this dynamic language. Let's move on to loops. How we can use loops inside JavaScript. Loops, why do you even need loops? Like why? We need loops to execute a certain block, a specific block inside of our program to iterate multiple times. Let's say there are actually three types of loop in JavaScript: for, while, and do while. We're gonna first see how we can use for loop. Let's say for and open parentheses, and inside the first is the variable let I is equal to 0. We use I for loops, and that's for a reason. And I is less than. You can use whatever variables you want. And the next one is the condition. How many times does the loop will execute if the state? I mean, how longer the loop will execute until this statement becomes false. Let's say if I is less than 10, and the increment I plus plus. And if we console.log the value, let's you can see that it goes from 0 to 9. Uh, Next loop is while loop, and here we first define the condition, like while I is because we have to define the variable I. Let's say let I is equal to 0. While means in English while it means that while I is less than 10, this will execute this statement. And let's say print console.log, and if we hit save and run the code, it will, oh sorry, it's I, it will go infinity because there is no increment in the value of I. So let's do it I plus plus, which means I is equal to I plus 1, which is same. I is equal to I plus 1, and voila, there we go. It's same like before for loop. And another one we have do. Do means it will execute the first time and then it will check for the condition, like let's print the value of I while I is less than 10. It will first, oh that there we go, it's infinite because we are not incrementing the value of I. Now let's refresh. Oh, it crashes. It crashed, I think. Oh, there we go. Oh, it crashed my PC. Lol. Alright, there we go. That's the do while loop. And next up we have conditional statements, which by the name itself says it's conditional statements. Let's define a variable x with the value 10, and if that's, we can use if. There are actually three types: if, switch, and inline. Let's talk about if, how we can write if statements. Let's say if, and we open parentheses, and inside the parentheses we write the conditions, like if x is less than 10, or if x is greater than 10, or if whatever, then it's gonna execute the block, this block, from here to here. Let's say console.log x is less than 10, and else it's gonna print, oh sorry, it's only one parenthesis, x is greater or is not less than 10. X is not less than 10, which means, of course, x is not less than 10. Let's say 9. X is less than 10. There we go. Alright, next up we have switch case. Let's define the value x with value 10, and let's switch it to x. This is the way we write switch, then parentheses. Inside the parentheses we put the variable name, and let's say case 10. Then it's gonna print, it will match the exact value. Let's say x is 10, and we have to add break statement so it cannot jump to another case. Let's say case 20, console.log x is 20, and let's add the break statement, and then we have something called default in the switch case, which if none of these cases are true, I mean not valid, then it will jump to default case. All right, default case dot log x is neither 10 nor 20. Well, let's say x is 10, and if we change the value to 20, x is 20, and if we add 22, x is neither 10 and 2 nor 20. So let's talk about functions, how we can write functions in JavaScript. Okay, there are actually several ways to write functions in JavaScript. Let's go with the default one, which is like this: function name, whatever you can put, it must start with alphabet, cannot start with numbers. So let's say I am function. That's it. Console.log. Inside the function, we are going to write hello world. All right, there we go. And the way we call the function is by using the function name and adding parentheses like this. So there we go, hello world, because if we remove this and if we hit save, then nothing comes up. And if we if we call the function, then the function will be executed, which will print the hello world. Alright, let's see how we can write the another way of function, which is x, like if we are using x like this. Right, hello world. And there we go, we can call x like this. There we go, hello world. Now let's see how we can pass the parameters inside the function. Let's say if we want to accept some parameters or values by a function. Let's say x, alright, let's say a and b. Hello world, then a and b. Let's say 1 and 2. There we go, hello world 1 and 2. If we change 2 to 4, then we get 4. Alright, next up is objects. Let's say, what are objects? Objects are basically the key value pairing. Like, let me show you how we can define object in JavaScript. Let x is equal to like this, and if we want to store some values, we can store multiple values inside objects, like whatever types, no matter whatever types. Let's say x is let's 10, b 20, and there we go. If we print the value of x, we can get something like this: a10 and b20. If we want just the value of a, then we can add dot and then the variable name, which is a, like this, and we get a 10. Right, next we have b. We can get like this. If we want to add to both of them, let's x dot a plus x dot b. We can add we get 30 because it's 10 plus 20 is 30, right? Alright, we can also add functions inside objects like this. Let's say fun is function, which prints hello world, hello friend, alright, this name friend. Let's say x dot fun. We can call it like this, and there we go, it prints hello friend. So that was the fundamentals of JavaScript. I hope you know, because it was very fast. So go give it a try and try something different. I'm gonna put the project link in the description so you can do like a homework, alright friend? And let me know if you don't understand anything from this. I'll make another video later. And in the next episode, we are going to learn deep dive into we're gonna build something in the next episode. So stick to the video and make sure to subscribe. And thanks for watching. And take care. Bye.